Hello, hello. Good morning to you. I pray you are well this morning. Can't quite get anything straight this morning, but hi, Karen. Good morning to you.
Great to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning, friends.
Hello, hello.
How are y'all this morning? You doing okay? Doing all right.
Everything seems to be.
Oh,
Hey, Vicky. Good morning to you.
hi, Donna. Hi, Phyllis. You doing well? Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
Doing great. That's awesome. Where you got to
It was reported you got to spend a little time.
time with the family this weekend?
I'm glad that happened. Great news, Karen. So, hey, Sharon, welcome home.
You doing great?
These days find you well. All right. All right, friends.
We are going to get going this morning. It is the
Third day
of
up.
January at 11:11, and I'm glad you're here and glad you're a part of this journey. We're up here in the sanctuary this morning with a just because with in part to just share the beauty of the space with you, but also because we uh, we are still in the 12 days of Christmas, and so I want to spend a moment and talk a little bit about our Christmas tide and about our Christmas journey. There is little that is we cannot do um, that in these days that I think doesn't point us back to Bethlehem and back to these days that we're in the middle of. We are in the midst of the 12 days of Christmas, and we are going to be celebrating Epiphany and wrapping up the season on Sunday. So we're right in the middle of all of the beauty and the wonder and the gorgeousness of what this season brings. I know so often the world would have us, begin Christmas somewhere around just before Halloween, and wrap it up on the 26th and stuff the Christmas tree in the snowbank. But it's my belief that actually these 12 days of Christmas are a beautiful meditation, are a beautiful time to take a moment, are a beautiful time for us to contemplate what it means to contend with the Christ child being born in our midst, and all of the different pieces and parts of that. We so much want, I think, sometimes to consider the Christmas story, right? We have all the different components of the Christmas story. We have Mary and Joseph and angels and shepherds and all the different animals that come to worship around him, and all the wise men, all the different pieces and parts of the story. But to me, it is to remember that all of those pieces and parts are really parts of Christ's story.
And so today I want to
talk actually about, I think, one of the more critical pieces, the most critical parts of that story, Mother Mary. Today is the 132nd, the 132nd anniversary, birthday of J.R.R. Tolkien. There's actually a tradition in the great author of I think one of the great tellings of the Christ story in the world of the Lord of the Rings story. His that tradition on this night that people at 9 p.m. wherever they are will raise a glass and toast to the professor, and that's the great toast that will go out today is to the professor, and by virtue of that, and I tell you that to bring us back to Mary, because in 2013, even though there's still discoveries of his work being made. In 2013, there was a poem discovered, a poem that he wrote in 1936, that it had emerged out of his papers, and that poem was centered on Mary. It was centered on it was this poem about the retelling of the Christmas story from the perspective of Mary. And I want to end our time with it, so I'm not going to jump right into it. But I think of all the things that we can say about, but what makes what makes Mary's role in all the characters that we find in this story, what makes Mary as central, and we can get into all kinds of deep theological mumbo jumbo, and I don't want to do that today. Not that I'm I'm good for theological mumbo jumbo. Don't worry about that. But today, I simply want to lift up that not only is Mary central to this because she's the mother of Christ, but Mary is central because of her understanding and what she brings to
To
this occasion.
because
When the angel comes to Mary, there what is in theological circles known as the Annunciation. When the angel comes and tells Mary all the things that are going to go on, Mary has one response and this is from the Gospel of Luke, but she has this one line response, just this one line response, and I think it's actually a mirror of many ways of what the core and the heart of our own faith is, to be a Christ bearer in this world. Because Mary was a Christ bearer, and we too are to be Christ bearers in this world. So in part, our affinity and our love of who Mary is and what Mary is and where her role in the story is as much a part of our role as it is, getting over the Mother of God thing, getting over the Virgin thing, getting over all this sort of stuff. All of these, these big theological things, which we can talk about at any time. But I simply want to hold up that she is the original and the first Christ bearer, the one who brings Christ into the world.
and the apostles will go forward
And bring Christ to people they've never met.
the
Saints will go forward. Saint Boniface will go over the Alps and bring Christ to people locked in blood sacrifice ritual and free them from it. That all over the world, that we'll cook when we cook a meal here, as we did yesterday, and take it down to our partners down at First Baptist Church, and we offer that meal to the world, and everybody feasted on chicken pot pies last night. When we offer that to the world, we are Christ bearers.
these pieces
Of parts of stories, these pieces and parts of our lives are not kind of random, inarticulate, difficult things that murkiness that's lost in the edges of being and of life. They are our lived experience in this day. That if we're in our job and we're trying to do a good job and do a right job and do the job properly that we're a part of, that even though it might be difficult, or even though it might take struggle to do it right, there is this way in which we are bearing the true and the good and the beautiful, and that we're bearing the right thing. And when we bear that, that is bearing Christ into this world. And it all starts. That's the first Christ bearer, Mother Mary. So Tolkien, in his great wisdom in 1936, amidst writing about elves and writing about dwarves and writing about all the other things of fantasy, penned this lovely poem that was it was only discovered a few years back, but is this retelling of the Christmas story
from Mary's perspective. This opening of a great
winter scene
with Mary singing the triumphal ring
of heaven's bells of Christ's birth. It's called Noel. by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Grim was the world,
And gray last night. The moon and stars were fled. The hall was dark without song or light. The fires were fallen dead. The wind in the trees was like the sea, and over the mountain's teeth it whistled bitter cold and free as a sword leapt from its sheath.
the Lord of snow
Upreared its head, his mantle long and pale, upon the bitter blast was spread, and hung o'er hill and dale. The world was blind, and boughs were bent, all ways and paths were wild. Then the veil of cloud was rent, and here
was born a child. The ancient dome of heaven
sheer was pricked with distant light. A star came shining white and clear, alone above the night. In the dale of dark, in that hour of birth, one voice on a sudden song.
then all the
bells in heaven and earth together at midnight rang.
Mary sang
In this world below, they heard her song arise, o'er midst and over mountain snow to the walls of paradise. And the tongue of many bells was stirred in heaven's towers to ring, when the voice of mortal maid was heard, that was mother of heaven's king.
glad is the world,
and fair this night, with stars about its head, and the hall is filled with laughter and light, and fires are burning red. The bells of paradise now ring, with bells of Christendom, and Gloria, Gloria we sing, that God on earth is come. Friends, when we
stand amidst these 12 days
of Christmas, when
we hold this
little stretch of time apart, when we keep our poinsettias alive, when we bring the life and the beauty
and love of the season into these few days between our the
crush of all the things and all the stuff and all the beauty,
we hold
that beauty which was born into the world, that sacredness and that wonder and that joy, that thing that sparks up on Christmas morning, that glorious, beautiful love that comes to break into the darkness of the world.
at last stand
Says it all. Glad is the world and fair this night, with stars about its head, and the hall is filled with laughter and light, and the fires are burning red. The
bells of paradise
now ring, with the
bells of Christendom, and Gloria, Gloria we sing, that God on earth
is come.
Friends, be Christ bearers for each other. Be one who carries the true
And the good and the beautiful into your days and into your
relations and into the people around you and the people you'll encounter these days. Friend, declare the fire
burning red, even though that maybe even in your heart they seem to have gone cold.
bear up
the Gloria and sing it even if your song is shaky
and off key. Bear out
the keeping of
this season that you may be, as Mary was, a Christ bearer to all of those that you
encounter.
Unready,
Seemingly unwilling, seemingly unprepared.
But none of that mattered.
Because it is about the one that you bear. It is about the
true and the good and the beautiful that you bring into the world, about the gloriousness of the wonder
and the goodness of all that is, that actually comes to make it whole.
Not our effort,
but the one who made us and
comes to be as we are. That God on earth
has come.
All right, friends, that's
my hope for you today. Peace and grace to you all. I hope you have a great and wondrous day, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.